Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the enchanting realm of Neuschwanstein Castle, nestled in the heart of Bavaria, where fairy tales seem to breathe in the mountain air, and every stone whispers stories of dreams made real. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration of one of the world's most beloved castles that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy these sleepy travels. And drop a comment below telling me which magical destination you want us to visit next. Now take a deep breath with me, and another, feeling your body settle into comfort as we prepare to wander through the misty Bavarian forests and up the winding paths to a castle that seems to float among the clouds. Neuschwanstein, the fairy tale castle that has captured hearts for over a century, awaits us with its peaceful towers and quiet chambers. You're standing now at the base of a gentle hill in southern Bavaria. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the faint scent of pine trees and mountain streams. Above you, through wisps of soft fog, the pale limestone walls of Neuschwanstein Castle emerge like something from a dream. Its slender towers reach toward a sky painted in the softest shades of blue and gray. The castle seems to grow naturally from the rugged cliff face, as if the mountain itself decided to become something magical. The path before you is wide and welcoming, lined with ancient trees whose branches create a natural canopy overhead. Dappled sunlight filters through the leaves, creating patterns that dance slowly across the ground. Other visitors move quietly along the path, their voices hushed by the majesty of what lies ahead. But in this moment, in this peaceful exploration, you have all the time in the world. As you begin your gentle ascent, the sounds of the modern world fade away, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves, the distant call of birds, the whisper of wind through the forest. Your footsteps create a rhythmic, soothing pattern on the path. Step, 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 each one bringing you closer to the castle that King Ludwig II once called his refuge from the world. The forest around you is ancient and peaceful. These are the Bavarian Alps, where nature and human creation exist in perfect harmony. The trees here have watched over this valley for centuries, long before the first stone of the castle was laid. Their presence is calming, protective, like gentle guardians of this magical place. Through breaks in the trees, you catch glimpses of the valley below. The village of Hohenschwangau rests peacefully in the distance, its red-roofed houses clustered together like a collection of tiny jewels. Beyond that, the Alpsee Lake mirrors the sky, its surface so still it looks like a polished glass. Everything here moves at nature's pace, slow, deliberate, peaceful. The path curves gently, never too steep, never demanding. It's as if King Ludwig himself designed it for contemplative walks, for moments of quiet reflection. And perhaps he did, for this was his escape, his sanctuary where imagination could run free and the pressures of the world could not follow. As you continue your ascent, the castle grows larger, more defined. You can begin to make out individual windows, each one like a sleepy eye gazing out over the magnificent landscape. The towers, from this angle, seem to pierce the clouds themselves, reaching toward something beyond the everyday world. The entire structure appears to be sleeping, waiting peacefully for visitors to discover its secrets. The temperature is perfect, neither too warm nor too cool, just that ideal balance that makes you want to keep walking forever, lost in the beauty of the moment. Your breathing has found a natural, easy rhythm, matching the peaceful pace of your steps. Everything about this journey is designed to soothe, to calm, to guide you gently toward tranquility. Now, you're approaching the castle's lower courtyard, passing through the first gateway, where the cream-colored stones frame your entrance into Ludwig's dream world. The courtyard is surprisingly intimate, enclosed by high walls that create a sense of stepping into another realm entirely. The sounds from the valley below have faded to mere whispers, replaced by the gentle echo of footsteps on ancient cobblestones. The first thing that strikes you is the color of the castle, not stark white as it appears from a distance, but a warm, creamy limestone that seems to glow with an inner light. The walls are smooth to the touch, worn soft by over a century of weather and gentle hands. Each stone was carefully selected, carefully placed. You can feel the craftsmanship in every detail. Looking up, the castle's towers rise impossibly high above you, their blue-gray turrets topped with golden weather vanes that turn lazily in the mountain breeze. The architectural style is what they call Romanesque revival, but those are just words. What you see is pure fairy tale. Every arch, every window, every decorative element designed to transport you to a world of wonder. The windows above you are tall and narrow, many of them featuring beautiful rounded tops. Some are open just slightly, and you imagine gentle breezes moving through the rooms beyond, stirring ancient curtains, carrying the faint scent of old wood and stone. The glass in these windows is old, slightly wavy, creating subtle distortions that make the world beyond look even more dreamlike. As you move deeper into the courtyard, you notice the small details that make this place so special. The decorative ironwork on the doors and windows features delicate patterns of swans and floral motifs. The swan was Ludwig's favorite symbol, appearing throughout his castles. Here, they seem to float peacefully in the metalwork, eternal and serene. The courtyard has several levels, connected by gentle stone steps, worn smooth by countless visitors. You climb them slowly, each step revealing new angles, new perspectives of the castle's incredible architecture. From here, you can see how the castle seems to grow organically from the cliff, its foundations merging seamlessly with the natural rock. There's a peaceful fountain in one corner of the courtyard, its water trickling softly. The sound is hypnotic, rhythmic, like a gentle lullaby that has been playing here for decades. The water is crystal clear, reflecting the castle walls and the sky above in its shallow basin. You pause here for a moment, letting the sound wash over you. The entrance to the castle proper is through a magnificent portal. The doorway is framed by columns and decorative stonework that tells stories without words. Above the door, carved figures seem to watch over all who enter, not threatening, but protective, welcoming. They've been standing guard here since the 1880s, never tiring, never wavering. As you step through the entrance, the temperature drops slightly. The thick stone walls keep the interior cool and quiet. Your footsteps echo softly in the entrance hall, joining the whispered footsteps of millions who have walked here before. The atmosphere is immediately different, more intimate, more personal. This is not just a castle, it was someone's dream of home. The entrance hall is modest compared to what's to come. Its vaulted ceiling creates a sense of space without overwhelming. The walls are decorated with simple patterns that draw the eye upward. Everything here is designed to prepare you for the wonders that lie deeper within the castle. Light filters in through tall windows, casting long, peaceful shadows across the floor. The quality of light here is special, filtered through mountain air and old glass. It has a softness that modern light never quite achieves. It makes everything look slightly ethereal, slightly unreal, as if you're walking through a beautiful dream. You can feel the weight of history here, but it's not oppressive. Instead, it's comforting, like being wrapped in a favorite old blanket. The castle has seen so much, weathered so many seasons, yet it remains patient, eternal, a testament to the power of dreams made real. The first corridor stretches before you, lit by a series of windows on one side. Each window frames a different view of the Bavarian landscape, like living paintings that change with the light and weather. You move slowly, pausing at each one. There's no hurry here. Time moves differently within these walls. As you wander deeper into Neuschwanstein, the story of its creation unfolds gently around you. King Ludwig II, the fairytale king of Bavaria, commissioned this castle in 1869. He was just 24 years old, a young man with grand dreams and an imagination that knew no bounds. The castle was his escape, his sanctuary from a world that increasingly didn't understand him. Ludwig was born in 1845, growing up in the nearby Neuschwanstein Castle that you can see through the windows. As a child, he would gaze up at the ruins of the ancient fortress that once stood where Neuschwanstein now rises. He would dream of knights and legends, of Wagner's operas brought to life in stone and timber. These childhood dreams never left him. They only grew stronger. The castle's construction was a labor of love that took 17 years, though Ludwig only lived to see it partially completed. Each room, each decoration, each architectural choice was personally approved by the king. He worked closely with the architect Eduard Riedel and later Georg von Dollmann, together creating something that had never existed before, a medieval castle built with modern techniques. You're walking now through corridors that Ludwig himself once walked, though he only spent about 172 nights here before his mysterious death in 1886. His presence still lingers peacefully in these halls, not as a ghost, but as a gentle memory, a reminder that someone once loved this place with their whole heart. The castle was built on the site of two ancient fortresses, Vorderhohenschwangau and Hinterhohenschwangau. Ludwig had the ruins cleared away, but he honored their memory in his new creation. The name Neuschwanstein means new swanstone, combining his love of swans with the history of the location. The construction was remarkable for its time. Steam-powered cranes lifted massive stones up the mountainside. A new road had to be built just to transport materials. The castle featured running water on every floor, central heating, and even telephone lines, all revolutionary for a castle built to look medieval. Ludwig wanted the romance of the past with the comfort of the present. In the throne room, which was never completed, you can see Ludwig's vision most clearly. The Byzantine-style hall was meant to represent the Holy Grail Hall from Wagner's Parsifal. The floor mosaic, had it been finished, would have depicted the Tree of Life. Even incomplete, the room has a peaceful majesty, its tall windows flooding the space with gentle light. Ludwig's bedroom took 4.5 years to complete. The carved oak bed is like a miniature Gothic cathedral. Every surface tells a story from medieval legend or Wagner's operas. The attention to detail is astounding, yet never overwhelming. Each element invites quiet contemplation rather than demanding attention. The king was deeply influenced by Richard Wagner's operas. Many rooms in the castle feature scenes from Tannhäuser, Lohengrin, and Parsifal. But these aren't dramatic depictions. Instead, they're peaceful moments. Swans gliding on still waters, knights at rest, minnesingers in quiet contemplation. Even in his fantasies, Ludwig sought tranquility. The castle's construction employed hundreds of local craftsmen, wood carvers, stonemasons, painters. All worked to bring Ludwig's vision to life. Their descendants still live in the villages below, carrying on traditions that were revived for this castle's creation. The building of Neuschwanstein brought prosperity to the region that continues to this day. After Ludwig's death, the castle was opened to the public almost immediately. Within 6 weeks, tourists were walking these same halls. It was as if the castle was always meant to be shared, to inspire dreams in others, just as it had inspired its creator. Since then, over 61 million visitors have made this gentle pilgrimage. The castle survived both world wars remarkably intact. During World War II, stolen art was stored here, and there were plans to destroy it to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. But those plans were never carried out. The castle seemed protected by something greater than military strategy, perhaps by the peaceful dreams it represents. Today, about 1.5 million people visit annually. But right now, in this moment of our journey, the castle feels quiet, personal, as if it's revealing its secrets just to you. The crowds fade away in our imagination, leaving only the peaceful essence of Ludwig's dream. The preservation of the castle is an ongoing act of love. Conservators work constantly to maintain the delicate balance between preservation and accessibility. They move quietly through the castle, caring for it as Ludwig once did, ensuring that future generations will be able to experience this same peaceful wonder. Let's explore the architectural wonders of Neuschwanstein more closely now, moving through its spaces with the slow appreciation they deserve. The castle is a masterpiece of Romanesque revival architecture, but more than that, it's a poem written in stone and wood. The Singers' Hall stretches before you, one of the largest rooms in the castle. Its wooden ceiling soars overhead, decorated with paintings that seem to float in the dim light. This hall was modeled after the Wartburg Castle's famous hall, but Ludwig made it his own. The acoustics here are perfect. Even a whisper carries beautifully across the space. The walls of the Singers' Hall are decorated with scenes from the legend of Parsifal. But notice how peaceful these scenes are. There's no violence, no conflict, just moments of quiet revelation and gentle triumph. The colors are muted, softened by time, creating an atmosphere of ancient tranquility. Moving to the throne room, though never completed, you can see the incredible Byzantine influence. The walls shimmer with gold leaf that catches the light like captured sunshine. The paintings depict kings and saints, but their expressions are serene, benevolent. They watch over the room with gentle eyes. The columns in the throne room are made of artificial marble, a technique called stucco lustro. Each one is unique, with swirling patterns that seem to move if you look at them long enough. The floor, where completed, features an intricate mosaic. Over 2 million tiny stones create patterns that draw the eye inward toward contemplation. The castle's windows are perhaps its most magical feature. Each one is placed to frame a specific view. Some look out over the Bullet Gorge with its waterfall, others towards the Alps, still others down to the lakes below. The glass is slightly tinted, giving everything a dreamy quality, like looking at the world through a gentle filter. In Ludwig's bedroom, the Gothic wood carving reaches its pinnacle. The bed canopy alone took 14 carvers 4 years to complete. Every surface tells a story, but quietly, you have to look closely to see the tiny figures hidden in the foliage, the small animals peacefully coexisting in the wooden forest. The king's private chapel is small but perfect. The stained glass windows filter the light into soft colors that paint the walls. The altar painting depicts Ludwig's patron saint, Louis Numby of France. Everything here encourages quiet reflection, private moments of peace. The castle's towers each serve a different purpose. The square tower houses the staircase, its spiral ascending gently, never too steep. The round towers contain private rooms and studies, places where Ludwig could retreat even further from the world. Each tower has its own character, its own quiet personality. The attention to detail extends to the smallest elements. Door handles are shaped like swans and lions. Heating vents are disguised as decorative rosettes. Even the hinges on doors are works of art. Nothing was too small for Ludwig's attention, yet nothing shouts for yours. The castle's integration with its natural setting is masterful. Built on a narrow ridge, it seems to grow from the rock itself. The architects worked with the mountain, not against it. The result is a building that feels organic, natural, as if it was always meant to be here. The corridors connecting the rooms are artworks themselves. Their vaulted ceilings create a sense of procession, of moving through sacred space. The walls feature simple patterns that repeat rhythmically, hypnotically, leading you forward at a peaceful pace. In the kitchen, modern for its time, you can see how the castle balanced fantasy with function. The huge stove could prepare meals for dozens. The copper pots and pans still gleam softly in the light. Even this working space has beauty, dignity, peace. The servants' quarters, though simpler, maintain the castle's overall harmony. These rooms are smaller, yes, but still carefully designed, still part of the greater whole. Ludwig understood that everyone who lived here contributed to the castle's spirit. The castle's water system was revolutionary. Spring water was pumped up from the valley below. It still flows today, clear and cold. You can hear it sometimes, gurgling softly through hidden pipes, like the castle's gentle heartbeat. The culture surrounding Neuschwanstein is as rich as the castle itself. The local Bavarian traditions have been shaped by centuries of history, and the castle has become woven into the fabric of regional identity. In the villages below, the tradition of wood carving continues. Families have been creating intricate wooden sculptures for generations. The same techniques used in the castle's decoration are still practiced today. In quiet workshops, craftsmen work slowly, methodically, each piece taking weeks or months to complete. The local dialect here is Bavarian, a soft musical variation of German. When locals speak, their words have a gentle rhythm, rising and falling like the mountain paths. Even without understanding the language, the sound is soothing, conversational, welcoming. Traditional Bavarian clothing, the tracht, is still worn for special occasions. The lederhosen and dirndls you might see are not costumes but living tradition. Each element has meaning. The way an apron is tied, the colors chosen, the decorative pins, all tell quiet stories of family and place. The food culture here emphasizes comfort and warmth. In local Gasthäuser, traditional dishes are prepared the same way they have been for centuries. Semmelknödel, soft bread dumplings, float in rich broths. Apfelstrudel arrives warm, its pastry layers so thin you can see through them. Every meal is meant to be savored slowly. The influence of King Ludwig extends beyond the castle. He was a patron of the arts, supporting Wagner and other artists. This tradition of cultural appreciation continues. Small galleries in nearby towns display local artists' work. Concert halls host intimate performances. Culture here is not rushed or commercialized, but appreciated quietly. The Catholic tradition runs deep in Bavaria. Small chapels dot the mountainsides. Inside, candles flicker peacefully. The smell of incense mingles with old wood. These are spaces of contemplation, where time seems to stop. Many visitors light a candle, making a quiet wish or prayer. Local festivals follow the agricultural calendar. In autumn, the cattle are brought down from high mountain pastures. The Almabtree procession moves slowly through villages. Cows wear flower crowns and bells that chime softly. It's a celebration, yes, but a peaceful one, marking the eternal rhythm of seasons. The tradition of Gemütlichkeit pervades everything. This untranslatable word encompasses warmth, belonging, peace. It's in the way locals greet each other, the unhurried pace of life, the emphasis on comfort over efficiency. Gemütlichkeit is what makes you want to stay, to slow down, to simply be. Beer culture here is ancient and reverent. Local breweries follow the Reinheitsgebot, the beer purity law from 1516. In beer gardens, people sit at long wooden tables under chestnut trees. Conversation flows as gently as the beer. No one rushes. The tradition is about community, not consumption. The relationship with nature is fundamental to Bavarian culture. Wandering or hiking is almost spiritual. Trails are maintained lovingly. Rest benches are placed at scenic viewpoints. The mountains are not conquered, but befriended, respected, peacefully coexisted with. Music is woven into daily life, not just Wagner's grand operas, but simple folk songs. In the evening, you might hear someone playing an accordion, the melody drifting through village streets, or the sound of a zither, its strings creating ripples of sound like water over stones. The tradition of storytelling remains strong. Older residents remember tales their grandparents told, stories of the mountains, of hidden treasures, of the fairytale king. These stories are shared quietly, often over coffee and cake, keeping history alive through personal memory. The influence of the castle on popular culture has been profound, yet gentle. It inspired Disney's Sleeping Beauty castle, bringing its magic to millions. But locally, it's simply Ludwig's castle, a neighbor, a constant presence, as familiar as the mountains themselves. Each season brings its own magic to Neuschwanstein, transforming the castle and its surroundings in subtle, beautiful ways. Right now, let's imagine the castle through all its seasonal moods, each one peaceful in its own way. In spring, the castle emerges from winter like something awakening from a long sleep. The snow melts slowly, revealing the green meadows below. Wildflowers begin to dot the hillsides, tiny spots of color against the fresh grass. The waterfalls, fed by snowmelt, whisper more loudly, but it's still a gentle sound. Spring mornings bring mist that wraps around the castle towers. The whole structure seems to float in clouds, gradually revealing itself as the sun rises. Birds return to nest in the surrounding forests, their songs creating a natural symphony that echoes off the castle walls. The spring light has a special quality, clean and clear after winter. It makes the castle's cream-colored stones look almost luminous. Through the windows, you can see the Alps still crowned with snow. The contrast between winter above and spring below creating a peaceful transition. Summer arrives gently here. The forests turn deep green, providing cool shade for the paths to the castle. The lake below becomes a perfect mirror, reflecting clouds that drift lazily overhead. Everything moves slowly in the summer heat. Even time itself seems to relax. Summer evenings are magical. The setting sun paints the castle walls, gold, then pink, then purple. The temperature drops to perfect comfort. Bats emerge from the towers, their silent flight adding to the twilight mystery. The first stars appear while the sky is still light, that peaceful time between day and night. During summer thunderstorms, the castle becomes even more dramatic, but peacefully so. Lightning illuminates the towers. Thunder rolls through the valleys. But inside the thick stone walls, you feel safe, protected. The rain creates a gentle percussion on the windows. Autumn might be the castle's most beautiful season. The forests explode in quiet color. Reds, golds, oranges, like a sunset that lasts for weeks. The air becomes crisp, carrying the scent of falling leaves and wood smoke from village chimneys. Morning fog in autumn is especially magical. It fills the valleys like cotton, leaving only the castle towers visible. As the sun rises, the fog slowly sinks, revealing the landscape layer by layer. Like unwrapping a gift very slowly, the autumn light is golden, warm, despite the cooling temperatures. It slants through the castle windows at lower angles, creating longer shadows, more mysterious corners. The whole castle seems to glow from within during the golden hour before sunset. Winter transforms Neuschwanstein into the ultimate fairy tale. Snow blankets everything in pristine white. Icicles hang from the towers like crystal decorations. The whole scene looks like it's been frozen in time, preserved in perfect peace. Winter nights are profound here. The snow muffles all sound, creating a silence so deep you can hear your own heartbeat. The castle windows glow warmly against the cold blue snow. Stars appear incredibly bright in the clear mountain air. The Milky Way stretches overhead like a river of light. On winter mornings, frost creates intricate patterns on the windows, each one unique, temporary art that will vanish with the sun. The bare trees reveal views of the castle, usually hidden by leaves. New perspectives on familiar beauty. The changing seasons affect the interior atmosphere too. In spring and summer, the rooms are filled with a soft, natural light. In autumn, the light turns golden, making the wood glow. In winter, the rooms become cozy refuges, the thick walls keeping the warmth in. Each season brings different visitors to the castle. Spring brings dreamers and romantics. Summer brings families moving slowly in the heat. Autumn brings photographers and artists. Winter brings those seeking magic. But in every season, the castle offers the same gift: peace. The seasonal changes remind us that nothing is permanent, yet everything returns. The castle has witnessed over 140 cycles of seasons, each one similar yet unique. This repetition's comforting, predictable, peaceful. Beyond the main tourist paths, Neuschwanstein holds secret spaces, quiet corners where you can feel the castle's true spirit. Let's wander off the beaten path, discovering the peaceful places that many visitors never see. There's a small balcony on the second floor that overlooks the Palette Gorge. It's easy to miss, tucked away at the end of a narrow corridor. Standing here, you can hear the waterfall far below, a constant, soothing rhythm. The balcony is just large enough for one or two people, an intimate space for quiet contemplation. In the servants' wing, there's a simple window seat, worn smooth by countless moments of rest. From here, you can see the village below, going about its daily life. Smoke rises peacefully from chimneys. People move slowly along ancient streets. It's a reminder that life continues its gentle rhythm. The castle has several spiral staircases, but one in particular is special. It's narrower than the others, lit only by small windows. As you climb, each turn reveals a different view, a different play of light. The stairs themselves are worn in the center, evidence of all who have climbed before. Behind a plain door is a small study that Ludwig used for reading. The walls are lined with built-in bookshelves. The wood is dark with age, giving the room a cozy, enclosed feeling. A single chair faces the window. You can imagine the king sitting here, lost in a book. As the world outside faded away, there's a forgotten garden terrace, now overgrown, but still accessible. Wild flowers have taken over, creating a natural tapestry. Butterflies drift lazily between blooms. Bees hum their peaceful song. It's as if nature is slowly reclaiming this space, but gently, without hurry. In the tower, there's a circular room with windows all around. The acoustics here are remarkable. Even breathing creates a soft echo. It's a space that invites whispers, secrets, quiet songs. The light changes constantly as clouds pass over, creating an ever-shifting pattern of shadows. A narrow passage connects two main rooms. Most people hurry through, but if you pause, the walls here are painted with delicate patterns, barely visible in the dim light. Running your hand along the wall, you can feel where thousands of others have done the same, wearing the stone smooth. The castle's attics are closed to visitors, but we can imagine them. Dusty beams of light slanting through small windows. The sound of wind in the rafters. Old furniture covered in sheets like sleeping ghosts. These spaces hold the castle's memories. Quiet and undisturbed, there's a small chapel alcove that many people walk past. It contains a single stained glass window depicting a swan. When the afternoon sun hits it, the floor is painted with soft blues and golds. Standing in this colored light feels like being inside a jewel. In the kitchen wing, there's a herb garden window box. Still maintained, it grows thyme, rosemary, sage. The scents drift through the nearby rooms, mixing with the smell of old stone and wood. It's a living connection to the castle's domestic past. A forgotten stairway leads to a small platform on the castle's exterior. From here, you can see the Marienbrücke bridge in the distance. Watch as people cross it slowly, stopping to take in the view. Their distant figures move like notes in a peaceful melody. In one corridor, there's a bench beneath a window, perfectly placed to catch the morning sun. The wood is worn smooth, the cushion compressed by countless sitters. It's a place that invites you to stop, to rest, to watch the light change. The castle's wine cellar, deep in the foundations, maintains a constant cool temperature. The darkness here is soft, comforting. Old barrels line the walls, no longer used but still present, witnesses to celebrations long past. The silence here is profound, almost tangible. There's a small room that was once a music room. The instruments are gone, but the acoustics remain perfect. Standing in the center and humming creates a resonance that seems to come from the walls themselves, as if the castle is humming back. These hidden spaces remind us that Neuschwanstein is more than its grand halls. It's a collection of quiet moments, intimate spaces, forgotten corners where time moves even more slowly, where the castle's peaceful spirit is most strongly felt. The mountains around Neuschwanstein are rich with legends, stories passed down through generations. Each tale adds another layer to the castle's mystique. Let's settle into these stories, told in the tradition of Bavarian storytelling, slowly, gently, like bedtime stories. Long before Ludwig built his castle, these mountains were home to the Swan Knights, legendary warriors who protected the innocent. They were said to appear in times of need, arriving silently on boats drawn by swans. Their presence was always peaceful. They fought only when necessary, preferring to resolve conflicts with wisdom. The swan became sacred in these parts. Local folklore says that swans carry the souls of the departed to their rest. When you see swans on the lakes below the castle, they move with such grace, such serenity. It's easy to believe they're on a sacred mission. There's a legend about the mountain itself. They say it's hollow, containing a sleeping army of knights. They wait peacefully for the day they're needed. But they're in no hurry. They've been sleeping for centuries, and will sleep for centuries more if necessary. Their patience is eternal. Ludwig himself has become legend. Locals tell of seeing his spirit walking the castle grounds on misty mornings. But he's not a restless ghost. He walks slowly, peacefully, admiring his creation. Sometimes he stops at windows, gazing out at views he loved in life. He seems content. The forests around the castle are said to be enchanted, not in a dangerous way, but protectively. Travelers who lose their way always find the path again. Wild animals are gentler here. Even the weather seems kinder, as if the forest itself watches over those who enter with good hearts. There's a story about the waterfall in the Bullet Gorge. On full moon nights, water spirits dance in the mist. Their dance is slow, hypnotic. Those who see them are blessed with peaceful dreams for a year. The sound of the waterfall is said to be their eternal song. Local grandmothers tell of the Victual, helpful little folk who live in the mountains. They're shy, rarely seen, but their work is evident. A loose stone repaired, a dangerous branch moved from a path, small acts of kindness performed while everyone sleeps. The bells in the village churches each have names and personalities. When they ring, it's said they're talking to each other, sharing news across the valleys. Their conversations are always peaceful, marking time, celebrating life's quiet moments. There's a legend about a white dew that appears in the castle gardens. She is completely tame, allowing people to approach, but she can never be caught. She represents the free spirit of the mountains. beautiful, peaceful, but ultimately wild. The tradition of the Alpine, when the mountains glow pink at sunset, has its own mythology. It's said to be the mountains blushing at their own beauty, or perhaps remembering the day. The glow lasts only minutes, but locals stop whatever they're doing to watch. Children in the villages grow up with the story of the Dream King, not as tragedy, but as inspiration. They learn that it's okay to dream big, to see beauty where others see only stone, to build castles in the air and then make them real. There's a peaceful legend about the lakes. They're said to be connected underground, sharing their waters in secret communion. What affects one affects all. This interconnectedness is a metaphor locals use for community, for mutual support. The wind through the mountains has different names depending on its character. The gentle evening breeze is the Schlafwind, the sleeping wind. It carries dreams down from the peaks, bringing peaceful rest to the valleys. Old-timers tell of the castle's construction, how the workers would sing while they worked. The songs echo through the valleys, creating a kind of musical architecture. They say you can still hear echoes of these songs in the wind. These stories aren't meant to frighten or excite. They're told in soft voices, often while sitting by fires or in gardens at dusk. They're part of the landscape, as natural and peaceful as the mountains themselves. They remind us that every place has its mysteries, its magic. But magic doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as quiet as a swan on still water. Let us take a gentle detour now to one of the most peaceful yet breathtaking spots near Neuschwanstein, the Marienbrücke, or Mary's Bridge, suspended gracefully over the Polat Gorge. This iron bridge, built in 1845 and rebuilt by Ludwig in 1866, offers the most famous view of the castle. But the journey there is just as magical as the destination. The path to the bridge begins near the castle, winding gently through the forest. It's a well-worn trail, smoothed by millions of footsteps over the decades. Yet it still feels intimate, personal, as if you're discovering it for the first time. The trees form a natural tunnel overhead, their branches intertwining like fingers clasped in prayer. As you walk, the sound of the Pellet waterfall grows gradually louder, but it's never harsh, never overwhelming. It's a constant, soothing presence, like the earth's own lullaby. The water has been falling here for thousands of years, wearing away the rock grain by grain. There's no hurry in its work, just patient, persistent flow. The forest here is particularly ancient. These trees were already old when Ludwig was a boy. Some of them may have been seedlings when the original medieval castles stood on these peaks. Their bark is deeply grooved, covered in soft moss that glows green even in dim light. Touch one as you pass. Feel the life moving slowly through its trunk, the barely perceptible pulse of sap, the microscopic expansion and contraction with each breath of wind. Small wooden signs mark the path, weathered and worn but still readable. They point the way in German, zur Marienbrücke, but you don't really need them. The path is clear, inviting. It knows where it's going. All you have to do is follow. Occasionally, the trees part to reveal glimpses of the gorge below. The drop is dramatic, but not frightening. The rock walls are decorated with ferns and small flowers that somehow find purchase in the tiniest cracks. Life persists here, gently, quietly, beautifully. The path crosses several small streams, mountain water so clear you can see every pebble on the bottom. so cold it takes your breath away if you trail your fingers through it. These streams feed the waterfall, contributing their small voices to the greater song. In spring, they run fuller. In late summer, they whisper more quietly. But they never stop, never cease their peaceful journey. As you approach the bridge, you might encounter other travelers. But there's an unspoken understanding here. Voices remain soft, footsteps careful. Everyone seems to recognize this as a special place, a place that demands gentle respect. Even children seem to feel it, their usual energy channeled into wide-eyed wonder. The bridge itself appears through the trees like something from a fairy tale. Its delicate ironwork spans the gorge 90 meters above the churning water. It seems impossibly delicate, yet it has stood here for over 150 years, weathering storms, bearing the weight of countless visitors, enduring. Standing at the entrance to the bridge, you can feel the cool air rising from the gorge. It carries the scent of water and stone, of moss and mountain flowers. The temperature drops several degrees, refreshing, invigorating, yet somehow also calming. The first steps onto the bridge are always memorable. The slight give under your feet, the way it responds to your weight with the gentlest of movements. It's alive in its own way. This bridge, participating in your crossing rather than simply allowing it. The wooden planks of the walkway are worn smooth, polished by countless feet. They creak softly, a peaceful sound that blends with the waterfall's song. Each plank has its own note. Together they create a quiet melody as you walk. From the center of the bridge, the view of Neuschwanstein is incomparable. The castle seems to float against the mountainside. Every tower, every window, every architectural detail perfectly visible. From here, you can truly appreciate Ludwig's vision, the way he placed his dream castle, exactly where nature and human creation could exist in perfect harmony. But don't just look at the castle. Look down into the gorge. See how the water has carved this channel over millennia. Patient, persistent, creating beauty through gentle persistence rather than violent force. The rock walls tell the story of geological time, layer upon layer, each one representing thousands of years. The waterfall itself is mesmerizing. The water doesn't just fall. It dances, it plays, it transforms from liquid to mist and back again. In certain lights, rainbows appear in the spray, fleeting, magical, impossible to capture, but unforgettable to witness. Birds nest in the gorge walls. Swallows dart in and out, their flight patterns seemingly random, but actually precisely calculated. They've been nesting here since before the bridge was built, before the castle, before human memory. This is their ancestral home. We are merely visitors. The sound of the waterfall from the bridge is complex, layered. It's not just one sound, but many. The initial crash of water on rock, the echo off the gorge walls, the whisper of spray, the gurgle of water finding its way between stones. Close your eyes and you can separate each sound, or let them blend into one peaceful symphony. The bridge sways slightly in the wind. Don't be alarmed. This movement is intentional, engineered. It allows the bridge to flex rather than break, to dance with the mountain winds rather than fight them. There's a lesson in this, about flexibility, about moving with life's forces rather than against them. Other visitors come and go, but if you wait, if you're patient, there are moments when you have the bridge to yourself. These are precious moments, when it's just you, the bridge, the gorge, the castle, and the eternal sound of falling water. In these moments, time seems to pause, holding its breath. The late afternoon light is particularly magical here. The sun angles through the gorge, illuminating the mist, turning it golden. The castle glows warm against the cooler shadows of the mountain. Everything is painted in the softest, most peaceful colors nature can provide. As you leave the bridge and continue on the forest paths, the sound of the waterfall gradually fades, but it never completely disappears. It becomes a background whisper, a reminder, a constant peaceful presence that follows you through the forest. The return path offers different views, different perspectives. The castle appears and disappears through the trees, playing hide and seek. Each glimpse is slightly different. The light changed, the angle new. It's like seeing multiple paintings of the same subject, each one unique, each one perfect in its own way. There are benches along these paths, placed at particularly scenic spots. Sit for a moment. There's no rush. The castle has stood for over a century. It will wait for you. Rest here. Breathe deeply. Let the forest peace seep into your bones. This bridge, these paths, they're not just routes to views. They're meditation walks, opportunities to move slowly through beauty, to let the peaceful rhythm of walking calm your mind. Every step is a choice to slow down, to notice, to appreciate. The Marienbrücke and its surrounding paths remind us that the journey is as important as the destination, that beauty exists not just in grand castles, but in forest paths, in wooden bridges, in the patient work of water on stone. These simple things, these quiet wonders, they're what make a place truly magical. As we return to the castle from our bridge journey, we carry with us the peace of the gorge, the patience of the waterfall, the gentle strength of the bridge. These experiences layer upon each other, creating a deeper, richer sense of tranquility. The castle is even more beautiful now, seen not in isolation, but as part of this greater tapestry of natural and human wonder. As our journey through Neuschwanstein begins to wind down, the castle seems to settle into evening quietude. The last tour groups have departed. The great doors are closing slowly. The castle is preparing for its nightly rest. And so are we. The sun is setting now behind the mountains, painting the castle walls in the softest shades of rose and gold. These are the quiet hours, when the castle returns to itself, when it can simply be, without performing for anyone. The shadows grow longer, softer, like blankets being pulled over the landscape. You find yourself in the courtyard garden, a peaceful space where you can sit and reflect on all you've seen. The benches here are placed perfectly, facing west toward the sunset. The air is cooling, that perfect temperature where you're neither warm nor cold, just comfortable, just right. The sounds of day are fading, replaced by evening's gentle chorus. Somewhere, a blackbird sings its evening song, a liquid melody that seems to slow time itself. The wind has calmed to the slightest breeze, just enough to stir the leaves, creating a soft rustling like whispered lullabies. Looking up at the castle from the garden, the windows begin to glow, not with electric light, but with the reflected sunset. Each window holds the light differently, some golden, some pink, some deep orange. It's as if the castle is storing the day's warmth to release slowly through the night. The mountains around are turning purple in the fading light, their massive forms becoming softer, less defined. They're settling in for the night too. These ancient peaks have watched over this valley for millions of years. One more night is nothing to them. They're infinitely patient. The forest is quieting, the busy sounds of daytime creatures giving way to the peaceful night shift. An owl calls softly in the distance, not hunting yet, just announcing the coming night. The trees seem to draw closer together, creating a protective embrace around the castle. You can hear the distant sound of cowbells from the valleys below. The herds are settling for the night. The bells chime randomly, peacefully, like a very slow, very gentle wind chime. Each note carries clearly in the still air, then fades, then another. No pattern, no hurry. The first stars are appearing. Venus first, bright and steady in the western sky. Then, one by one, others join. The sky is still light enough that you have to look carefully to see them, but they're there, patient, eternal, waiting for full darkness to reveal their glory. The temperature continues to drop gently. You pull your imaginary cloak closer, feeling cozy, protected. The castle walls still radiate a little warmth from the day. You lean against the ancient stones, feeling their solid presence, their permanence. The paths through the garden are becoming indistinct in the growing darkness, but you don't need to see clearly. You know where you are. You're safe. You're peaceful. You could walk these paths with your eyes closed and never stumble. Somewhere in the castle, a clock chimes the hour. The sound is muffled, distant, like hearing it through layers of dreams. Time doesn't matter here. Hours could pass or minutes. It's all the same in this peaceful twilight. The last birds are finding their roosts. Their final calls are sleepy, contented. They've had their day of flying and singing. Now it's time to rest. Their example is contagious. You feel your own energy settling, slowing, finding its natural resting rhythm. The scent of night-blooming flowers begins to drift through the air. Jasmine, perhaps, or evening primrose. The fragrance is subtle. You have to breathe deeply to catch it, and breathing deeply feels so good, so natural, so right. Looking up, the castle towers are silhouettes now against the darkening sky. They stand guard, protective, eternal. You're in their care. Nothing can disturb you here. Nothing needs your attention. Everything is as it should be. The world beyond the castle walls feels very far away. Those concerns, those responsibilities, they'll be there tomorrow. But right now they have no power here. This is a place outside of time, outside of worry, a place where you can simply be. Your breathing has naturally slowed, matching the rhythm of the evening. In and out, in and out. Each breath brings more peace, more quiet, more rest. And now, dear wanderer, our journey through Neuschwanstein Castle comes to its peaceful close. But endings here are never really endings. They're just pauses, moments of rest before the next dream begins. You've walked through halls where kings once dreamed. You've touched stones placed with love over a century ago. You've seen views that have inspired millions. But more than that, you felt the peace that lives in this place, the tranquility that seeps from every stone, every window, every quiet corner. The castle is fully at rest now. The night has wrapped it in soft darkness. Only starlight illuminates the towers. They stand like gentle guardians, watching over the sleeping valleys below. Everything is still. Everything is quiet. Everything is as it should be. Think of all the peaceful moments you've collected today. The sound of your footsteps on ancient stones. The play of light through colored glass. The whisper of wind through mountain passes. These moments are yours now. They live in your memory, ready to return whenever you need them. The Swan King's dream has become your dream. His castle of imagination is now part of your inner landscape. When you need peace, when you need beauty, when you need to escape, you can return here in your mind. The castle will always be waiting, patient, eternal, unchanged. Let your mind drift now through the rooms we've visited. Don't try to remember everything. Just let images float by like clouds. The throne room's golden glow, the bedroom's intricate carvings, the view from the windows, each memory soft, gentle, peaceful. The mountains around the castle are sleeping now, their massive forms dark against the star-filled sky. They've been here so long, seen so much, yet they remain strong, patient, peaceful. Let their permanence comfort you. Some things endure, some things remain. Your breathing is deep and regular now, like the breathing of the castle itself. In and out, in and out. The rhythm of rest, the rhythm of peace. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. Just here, just now, just breathing. The stories of this place weave through your mind, swan nights and sleeping armies, peaceful spirits and gentle mysteries. Let them mix with your own dreams, creating new stories, new possibilities, all of them quiet, all of them peaceful. Feel yourself settling deeper into rest, like the castle settling into the mountainside, solid, secure, supported, the weight of the day dissolving, leaving only lightness, only peace, only quiet. The stars above Neuschwanstein shine on. They've watched over this place since before the castle was built. They'll watch over it long after, and tonight they watch over you too. Guardian stars, peaceful stars, eternal stars. In your mind's eye, see yourself in the castle garden one last time, sitting on a comfortable bench, wrapped in warmth, the castle rising above you, protective and peaceful. This is your place of rest, your sanctuary. It will always be here when you need it. The night sounds are so gentle now, just the softest breeze, the faintest rustle of leaves, maybe the distant sound of water, or maybe just silence. Beautiful, complete silence, the kind that wraps around you like the softest blanket. Let all the edges of the day soften. Let all the sharp corners become round. Let all the bright lights dim to gentle glow. Everything is becoming softer, gentler, more peaceful. This is the gift of Neuschwanstein, the gift of dreams made real, the gift of peace. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are exactly where you need to be. The castle holds you in its ancient embrace. The mountains stand guard. The stars keep watch. Everything is taking care of itself. You can rest. You can let go. You can drift. Sleep is coming now like mist rising from the valleys. Soft, gentle, inevitable. It wraps around you, through you, becoming you. You and the peaceful night are one. You and the sleeping castle are one. You and the eternal mountains are one. Thank you for joining me on this peaceful journey. Thank you for walking these ancient halls. Thank you for sharing in the Swan King's dream. May your sleep be deep. May your dreams be peaceful. May you wake refreshed and renewed. The castle will be here whenever you want to return. Patient, beautiful, peaceful. But for now, rest. Just rest. Let Neuschwanstein fade into dreams. Let the mountains fade into dreams. Let everything fade into peaceful, restful dreams. Sleep now, wanderer. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. The castle keeps watch. The mountains stand guard. The stars shine on. All is well. All is peaceful. All is rest. Good night from Neuschwanstein. Good night from Bavaria. Good night from the sleeping wanderer. Sweet dreams, peaceful dreams, until we wander together again. Drift, rest, sleep. Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the enchanting village of Giethoorn in the Netherlands, where time moves slowly and every breath brings deeper calm. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy these sleepy travels. And drop a comment below telling me which magical destination you want us to visit next. Tonight, you're discovering a place where the modern world seems to fade away, like morning mist over still water. Giethoorn, lovingly known as the Venice of the North, awaits you with its quiet canals and gentle rhythms. This peaceful Dutch village, nestled in the province of Overijssel, exists in a realm where cars cannot venture, where the only sounds are the soft splash of water against wooden boat hulls, the gentle quacking of ducks, and the whisper of wind through the reeds. As you settle in for this journey, allow yourself to sink deeper into comfort. Perhaps you're already lying down, feeling the weight of your body supported, your breathing naturally slowing. There's nowhere else you need to be right now, except here, drifting along these peaceful waterways with me. Giethoorn reveals itself slowly, like a secret garden opening its gates to a trusted friend. The village spreads across the Dutch countryside like a watercolor painting, where shades of green blend softly with the silver blue of its canals. These waterways, over 4 miles of them, wind through the village like gentle ribbons, connecting one thatched roof farmhouse to another, connecting past to present, connecting you to a simpler, more peaceful way of life. The evening light here has a special quality. It filters through the leaves of ancient trees, dappling the water with golden patches that shift and dance. The sun sets later in these northern latitudes during summer, giving you endless twilight hours to explore. But even now, as darkness gently approaches, there's no hurry. The village seems to exist outside of time, in a perpetual state of tranquil beauty. You can already sense the unique atmosphere of this place. It's in the way the water barely ripples as a family of swans glides past. It's in the patient way the old wooden bridges arch over the canals, having stood there for generations, watching the slow changes of the seasons. It's in the careful tending of the gardens that line the waterways, where every flower seems placed with loving intention. The locals call their boats whisper boats, electric vessels that glide silently through the water, powered by clean, quiet motors that barely disturb the surface. These gentle craft move at the perfect pace for contemplation, for letting go of the day's concerns, for drifting both literally and figuratively into a state of deep relaxation. As we prepare to explore deeper into Geethorn's peaceful embrace, know that you can close your eyes at any moment. The images will continue to flow gently through your mind, painted in soft strokes of imagination. You might find yourself drifting off during our journey, and that's perfectly wonderful. The village will still be here, patient and eternal, whenever you choose to return. You arrive in Geethorn on a quiet afternoon, when the tourist boats have mostly returned to their docks and the village settles into its natural rhythm. The first thing you notice is the absence of familiar sounds. No car engines, no honking horns, no rush of traffic. Instead, your ears adjust to a gentler symphony, the soft lapping of water, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a moorhen. The village entrance welcomes you with a small wooden bridge, weathered to a soft silver gray by countless seasons. Your footsteps on the wooden planks create a gentle, hollow sound that echoes briefly before being absorbed by the surrounding water and greenery. Pause here for a moment. Take in your first real view of Geethorn's waterways. The main canal stretches before you, perhaps 3 meters wide, its dark water reflecting the sky like polished glass. Along both sides, neat Dutch houses stand with their feet almost in the water, each one unique yet harmonizing perfectly with its neighbors. The houses wear their thatched roofs like soft caps, the reed thatch aged to a warm golden brown that seems to glow in the afternoon light. You begin walking along the narrow footpath that runs beside the canal. The path is made of old bricks, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. Moss grows in the gaps between them, creating a natural carpet of green. Every few meters, a small wooden bridge invites you to cross to the other side, but for now, you continue straight, taking in the peaceful scene. A whisper boat approaches slowly from around a gentle bend. The elderly couple steering it wave with warm smiles, their boat loaded with groceries from the village shop. This is how daily life unfolds here, by water rather than by road. The boat passes so quietly that you can hear the couple's soft conversation in Dutch, the language flowing like the water itself, melodious and unhurried. The gardens here deserve special attention. Each house seems to compete gently for the most beautiful waterside display. Hydrangeas bloom in massive clusters of blue and pink. Roses climb wooden trellises, their perfume drifting across the water. Window boxes overflow with geraniums and petunias. And everywhere, the characteristic Dutch attention to detail shows in the perfectly trimmed hedges, the spotless windows, the freshly painted shutters. You notice how each house has its own small dock or boat mooring. Some have simple wooden platforms, others elaborate boathouses that shelter sleek mahogany vessels or traditional punters. These boats are not mere decorations but essential tools of daily life. Children here learn to navigate the canals before they learn to ride bicycles, though bicycles too have their place on the narrow paths that wind between the waterways. The architecture tells stories of centuries past. Many of these farmhouses date back to the 18th and 19th centuries. Built when Geethorn was primarily a peat harvesting settlement, the peat diggers created these canals as they extracted the valuable fuel from the marshy ground. What began as industrial necessity transformed over time into this unique landscape of extraordinary beauty. As you walk, you pass under drooping willow trees whose branches trail in the water like gentle fingers. The willows create natural curtains of green, providing shade and privacy. In these shadowy alcoves, you might spot a heron standing perfectly still, waiting patiently for a fish to swim by, or perhaps a family of ducks, the ducklings following their mother in a perfect line. The sounds of the village create a gentle soundtrack to your walk. Somewhere, wind chimes tinkle softly in a garden. A dog barks once, then settles back into silence. The creak of a boat rope against a wooden post. The splash of an oar dipping into water. These sounds layer upon each other, creating a peaceful symphony that seems designed to slow your heartbeat, to deepen your breathing. As you continue your gentle exploration, the history of Geethorn reveals itself in the very landscape around you. This village wasn't planned by architects or city designers. It grew organically from the relationship between humans and water, shaped by centuries of patient work and adaptation. The story begins around 1230, when monks from a monastery settled in this marshy region. They called it Geitenhorn, meaning goat horns, after the numerous goat horns that they discovered buried in the peat. These horns were remnants of wild goats that had perished in floods centuries earlier. The name evolved over time to Geethorn, but the connection to those ancient times remains in every canal, every bridge, every carefully maintained garden. You pause beside a particularly old farmhouse, its wooden beams darkened with age. This building has stood here for over 200 years, watching the village transform from a harsh, peat-cutting settlement to this peaceful paradise. In those early days, life was difficult. The peat cutters worked long hours in wet, challenging conditions. They dug channels to transport the peat, never imagining that their industrial waterways would one day become corridors of beauty. The thatched roofs you see everywhere have their own story. Reed has been harvested from the nearby Vierbenveden National Park for centuries. This sustainable practice continues today, with skilled thatchers maintaining these roofs using techniques passed down through generations. Each roof can last 40 to 60 years if properly maintained. The thatch provides excellent insulation, keeping houses cool in summer and warm in winter. Run your fingers through the air as if touching the reed. Imagine its texture, rough yet flexible, golden in the light. As you walk, you come upon one of the village's 176 wooden bridges. Each bridge was built by the residents of the houses it connects. This tradition of communal responsibility continues today. Neighbors maintain their bridges together, paint them in harmonious colors, tend to the flowers that grow at their bases. The bridges are more than mere crossings. They're symbols of connection, of community, of the gentle cooperation that makes life here possible. The canal system itself tells a story of ingenious water management. The Dutch have always been masters of controlling water, and Geethorn showcases this expertise beautifully. The water level is carefully regulated, rising and falling with the seasons, but never threatening the houses that stand so close to its edge. In winter, when the canals freeze, the village transforms into a skating paradise. But now, in this gentle moment, the water flows peacefully, carrying nothing more urgent than a fallen leaf. You notice the different styles of houses as you pass. Some are traditional farmhouses with their characteristic shape, living quarters at one end, barn at the other, all under one enormous thatched roof. Others are newer, built in the 20th century, but designed to blend seamlessly with their older neighbors. There's no jarring modernity here. Even the newest buildings respect the village's timeless aesthetic. The economic transformation of Geethorn unfolds in these buildings too. What was once a poor peat-cutting village has become a cherished destination. But unlike many tourist locations, Giethorn has maintained its authenticity. The approximately 2,800 residents still live here year-round, shopping at the local stores, sending their children to the village school, gathering at the small churches that dot the landscape. You pass by an old warehouse converted into a restaurant, its large doors once used to store peat, now opening onto a peaceful terrace. The transformation happened slowly, respectfully. Tourism brought prosperity, but the village insisted on preserving its character. No large hotels mar the skyline. No neon signs disturb the evening peace. Everything remains on a human scale, gentle and welcoming. The boat-building tradition continues here as well. In a workshop near the water, craftsmen still construct the traditional punters, flat-bottomed boats perfect for navigating shallow canals. The wood shavings curl away from the plain, releasing the sweet scent of fresh timber. These boats are built to last generations, passed down from parent to child, like precious heirlooms. As evening deepens, you understand how history isn't just preserved here in museums or monuments. It lives in the daily rhythms of village life, in the way an elderly man poles his boat with the same motion his grandfather used, in the careful tending of gardens that have bloomed in the same spots for centuries, in the preservation of silence, that rarest of modern commodities. The architectural harmony of Giethorn reveals itself as you continue your peaceful journey. Each building seems to have grown from the landscape rather than being imposed upon it. The houses nestle into their plots like sleeping cats, comfortable and completely at ease with their surroundings. You approach a classic Giethorn farmhouse, its thatched roof sweeping down almost to the ground on one side. This design, called a Kophalsromp, or head-neck trunk farmhouse, evolved over centuries to meet the specific needs of Dutch farmers. The living area, the head, faces the canal with large windows that catch the light. The neck connects to the trunk, where hay and animals were once stored. Now, many of these barn areas have been converted into additional living space, but the original structure remains. Honoring the past, the foundation of these houses tells another story. Built on the soft peat soil, they rest on wooden poles, driven deep into the ground. Some of these poles are centuries old, preserved by the waterlogged soil, still supporting structures that have weathered countless storms. You can almost feel the stability they provide, the deep connection between building and earth. Moving closer to the water's edge, you notice the careful engineering of the canal walls, made from wooden planking or sometimes brick. These walls prevent erosion while allowing water to seep through slowly, maintaining the delicate balance of the water table. Moss and small ferns grow in the crevices, softening the boundary between land and water. Water lilies float in quieter corners, their white blooms glowing in the fading light. The gardens here are miniature masterworks of Dutch landscaping. Despite the limited space between house and canal, each garden maximizes its potential. Vertical gardening is common, with climbing roses, clematis, and ivy, creating living walls of green and color. Container gardens line the pathways, filled with seasonal flowers that change throughout the year. Right now, in this peaceful moment, you might see the last of the summer blooms, asters and dahlias, or perhaps the first hints of autumn in the changing leaves. The natural world interweaves seamlessly with the human-made. Ancient oak trees spread their branches over several properties, belonging to no one and everyone. Their roots run deep beneath the canals, creating an underground network as complex as the waterways above. Birds nest in their branches. Squirrels leap from tree to tree again. The ecosystem thrives in this gentle coexistence. You pause at a particularly charming sight, a tiny island in the middle of a canal intersection, just large enough for a single house. This house, like a dozen others in Giethorn, is accessible only by bridge or boat. Imagine living surrounded by water, waking each morning to the sound of gentle waves, needing a boat to fetch your groceries. It's a lifestyle that requires planning and patience, qualities that seem to infuse the very air here. The bridges themselves are architectural gems. Some are simple wooden planks with railings. Others are elaborate arched structures that allow taller boats to pass beneath. Each has its own character. One might be painted deep green to match the surrounding foliage. Another might be white with decorative cutouts in its railings. Some have small roofs to protect the wood from rain, creating tiny shelters where you might pause during a sudden shower. Notice how the houses use color. Unlike the bold, bright colors you might find in other Dutch cities, Giethorn favors gentle, natural tones. Soft greens that echo the canal water, warm browns that match the thatched roofs, cream and white for window frames and decorative elements. These muted colors create a sense of visual rest, never jarring or demanding attention. The windows deserve special mention. Large, multi-paned windows are a Dutch tradition, designed to let in maximum light during the long, dark winters. Here in Giethorn, these windows are often decorated with lace curtains, carefully arranged ornaments, or flowering plants. Each window display is like a small artwork, offering a glimpse into the life within while maintaining privacy. As you walk, you discover small architectural surprises. A tiny wooden gazebo at the water's edge where someone might sit with morning coffee. A miniature windmill in a garden, its blades turning lazily in the breeze. An old water pump, no longer functional, but preserved as a reminder of times before modern plumbing. These details accumulate, creating a rich tapestry of visual interest that never overwhelms. The natural features of the area provide a constant backdrop. The flat Dutch countryside stretches beyond the village, dotted with dairy farms and intersected by larger canals. The sky here seems enormous, unobstructed by mountains or tall buildings. Clouds drift across this vast canvas, their shadows moving across the landscape like gentle thoughts. The culture of Giethorn flows as gently as its canals, shaped by centuries of living in harmony with water. As you continue your peaceful exploration, you begin to understand the rhythms and traditions that make this place so special. The Dutch concept of gezelligheid finds perfect expression here. This untranslatable word encompasses coziness, conviviality, and a sense of warm belonging. You see it in the way neighbors wave from their gardens, in the small cafes where locals gather for coffee and conversation, in the careful maintenance of public spaces that makes everyone feel welcome. Morning routines in Giethorn have a special quality. Residents often begin their day with a boat ride, perhaps to fetch fresh bread from the bakery. Imagine gliding through the morning mist, the village still quiet, ducks paddling alongside your boat. The baker knows everyone by name, asks about families, shares village news. These simple interactions weave the fabric of community life. The village maintains several charming traditions throughout the year. During winter, when the canals freeze solid, Giethorn transforms into a skating wonderland. the ice brings the community together in a different way. Hot chocolate stands appear along the canals. Children learn to skate holding their parents' hands. The sound of blades on ice replaces the splash of oars. But now, in this gentle moment, you can only imagine that crystalline world, so different from the liquid peace surrounding you. Local crafts continue to thrive here. In small workshops, artisans create traditional Dutch wooden shoes, though these are more often souvenirs now than daily footwear. The rhythmic sound of wood being carved carries across the water, each pair unique, shaped by hand, smoothed with patience. The wood shavings curl and fall, adding their sweet scent to the evening air. The fishing tradition remains strong. Though no longer a primary source of income, many residents still set out in the early morning with a rod and line. They know the secret spots where pike lurk in the shadows, where perch gather in schools. Fishing here is more meditation than sport. Hours spent in quiet contemplation, watching the water, feeling the gentle tug of current against the line. Food culture in Giethoorn reflects both its rural roots and its connection to water. Traditional Dutch pancakes, served in canal-side restaurants, come topped with local ingredients, cheese from nearby farms, honey from village beekeepers, vegetables from kitchen gardens. Meals are unhurried affairs, time to savor not just food, but company, conversation, the view of swans gliding past the window. The village school, small and intimate, maintains traditions that larger schools have forgotten. Children still learn about their village's history, practice traditional crafts, participate in seasonal celebrations. They grow up bilingual in Dutch and the local dialect, understanding both the wider world and their particular place in it. Education here includes learning to navigate by boat, to recognize local birds, to understand the delicate balance of the ecosystem they inhabit. Music drifts occasionally from houses and gardens. Perhaps someone practicing piano, the notes floating across the water, or traditional Dutch folk songs during a family gathering. The acoustics of the canal create a natural amphitheater, carrying sound gently from one shore to another, but never too loud, never intrusive. The village seems to have an unspoken agreement about maintaining its peaceful atmosphere. The role of water in daily life extends beyond transportation. Residents monitor water levels, know when rain might raise the canals, understand the seasonal patterns. This intimate knowledge, passed down through generations, creates a deep connection to place. They read the water like others read newspapers, finding in its surface stories of weather, season, and change. Gardens here follow traditional Dutch patterns, but with unique adaptations for canal-side living. The famous Dutch love of flowers expresses itself in every available space. Tulips in spring, though not as numerous as in the bulb fields, still appear in carefully planned displays. Summer brings roses, climbing up trellises and over bridges. Autumn chrysanthemums glow like small suns in the fading light. Even in winter, evergreens and holly provide color against the snow. The social fabric of the village strengthens through small daily interactions. The postal worker delivering mail by boat, stopping to chat at each dock. The grocery boat that serves elderly residents who can't easily travel to shops. The volunteer fire brigade, ready to respond by special fire boats. These services maintain the village's independence while fostering interdependence. Art and creativity flourish in this peaceful setting. Several galleries showcase work by local artists inspired by the unique landscape. Watercolors capturing the play of light on water, photographs freezing moments of village life, sculptures placed in gardens where they dialogue with nature. The village itself becomes a canvas, ever-changing with the light, the seasons, the movement of water. The light is changing now as evening deepens over Githorn. This transitional time, when day surrenders to night, brings its own special magic to the village. The golden hour light transforms everything it touches, turning the ordinary into something luminous and extraordinary. Watch how the setting sun paints the thatched roofs with warm amber tones. The reed seems to glow from within, each stem catching and holding the light. Shadows grow longer, stretching across the canals like dark fingers, creating patterns that shift and change with each passing moment. The water becomes a mirror of molten gold, broken only by the gentle wake of a late returning boat. This time of day brings a change in the village rhythm. The whisper boats that carried tourists during the day have mostly returned to their moorings. Now the canals belong again to the residents. You might see a man in a small rowing boat heading home from visiting friends, or children being called in for dinner, their voices carrying clearly across the water in the still air. Each season brings its own atmosphere to Githorn. Spring arrives with explosive beauty. The gardens burst into bloom almost overnight. Daffodils and crocuses push through the last of the winter earth. The willows show their first green shoots, creating a haze of color along the waterways. Birds return from their winter journeys, filling the air with song. The whole village seems to exhale after the long winter, breathing in the fresh possibilities of a new growing season. Summer, perhaps the time you're experiencing now, wraps the village in warmth and abundance. The gardens reach their full glory. Roses climb over every available surface. The canal water warms enough for swimming, though most prefer to glide over it rather than through it. Long evenings stretch until nearly midnight at this latitude, providing endless golden hours for peaceful exploration. The air fills with the scent of blooming flowers, cut grass, and the fresh green smell of water plants. Autumn transforms Githorn into a painting by an old Dutch master. The leaves turn brilliant shades of gold, orange, and red, their colors doubled in the canal's reflection. Morning mists rise from the water, creating an ethereal atmosphere that makes the village seem to float between earth and sky. The harvest season brings its own activities. Apples being gathered from old orchards, boats loaded with the last vegetables from kitchen gardens. The light becomes richer, more golden, casting everything in a nostalgic glow. Winter creates perhaps the most magical transformation. When the canals freeze, Githorn becomes a fairy tale. The ice creates new pathways, allowing people to skate from house to house. The thatched roofs wear caps of snow. Smoke rises from chimneys in straight lines in the still, cold air. Windows glow with warm light, revealing cozy interiors where families gather around fireplaces. The silence deepens, muffled by snow, broken only by the scrape of scottets or the laughter of children. But return to this moment, this gentle evening. Notice how the quality of sound changes as night approaches. Daytime birds yield the stage to evening performers. An owl calls from somewhere in the distance. Bats emerge, their silent flight barely visible against the darkening sky. The sound of water becomes more prominent as other noises fade. each small splash and ripple gaining significance in the growing quiet. The lights of Geethorn begin to twinkle on, one by one. Not harsh electric glare, but soft, warm illumination. Street lamps designed to look like old gas lights cast gentle pools of gold along the footpaths. Houses light up from within, their windows becoming frames for domestic scenes. A family at dinner, someone reading in a comfortable chair, the flicker of a television in an upstairs room. These glimpses of life create a sense of warmth and belonging. The temperature drops slightly as the sun disappears. A gentle coolness rises from the water, carrying with it the scent of the day's warmth still held in the wooden bridges and sun-warmed stones. You might pull an imaginary shawl closer, feeling cozy rather than cold. This is the Dutch gift for creating comfort, for finding the perfect balance between shelter and nature. Different weather brings different moods to the village. Rain transforms the canals into surfaces of endless circles, each drop creating its own perfect ripple. The sound of rain on thatched roofs has a particular quality, soft and muffled, like nature's own white noise. Fog occasionally rolls in from the surrounding wetlands, transforming Geethorn into a mysterious realm, where houses appear and disappear, like ships in the mist. The night sounds of Geethorn create a gentle symphony, water lapping against the boat hulls, the creak of rope against wood, the distant sound of someone closing the door, a cat calling to another across the water. These sounds layer upon each other, creating a peaceful soundtrack that seems designed by nature to encourage sleep. As full darkness approaches, the village doesn't entirely sleep. A few restaurants remain lit, their warm glow reflecting in the water. Late evening boats might still pass, carrying couples, enjoying the romance of a nighttime canal ride. But the overall feeling is one of settling, of coming to rest, of a day gently concluded, and a peaceful night beginning. Away from the main canals, Geethorn reveals its most intimate secrets. These hidden corners, known primarily to residents and patient explorers, offer the deepest sense of peace the village can provide. Let's wander together into these quiet sanctuaries. You turn down a narrow side canal, barely wide enough for a single boat. The houses here stand further apart, separated by small meadows where sheep might graze. This is old Geethorn, unchanged for generations. The modern world feels impossibly distant as you walk along a path that's more grass than pavement. Soft under your feet, discover a tiny wooden bench tucked beneath a weeping willow. Someone has placed it here for contemplation, facing a particularly serene stretch of water. Sitting here, even in imagination, you feel held by the landscape. The willow's branches create a natural curtain, a green room where time seems to pause. You might stay here for minutes or hours. The village doesn't judge, doesn't hurry. Further along, you find a forgotten garden where an old fruit tree drops apples into the canal. They float for a while before sinking or being carried away by the gentle current. This tree has been here longer than anyone remembers. Its gnarled trunk telling stories of storms weathered, seasons survived. Birds nest in its branches, bees visit its spring blossoms. And now, in this quiet moment, it offers its fruit to the water in an ancient ritual of giving. A small wooden footbridge, unmarked on tourist maps, crosses to what appears to be a private island. But the path is public, a right-of-way preserved through centuries. The island holds just 3 houses, their gardens flowing into each other without clear boundaries. Here, neighbors share more than just proximity. They share a particular peace that comes from being slightly removed from even Geethorn's gentle bustle. You discover a pond, separate from the canal system, where water lilies grow in such profusion that the surface appears more green than blue. Dragonflies dance above the lily pads, their wings catching the last light. A small rowing boat rests here, half hidden in the reeds, perhaps forgotten, perhaps waiting. The pond reflects the sky so perfectly that looking down feels like looking up, creating a sense of gentle vertigo. Behind one of the older farmhouses, you find a traditional vegetable garden maintained in the old way. Raised beds bordered with woven willow, bean poles creating architectural sculptures, herbs growing in spirals. The gardener has left a small sign. Please take what you need. This trust, this generosity, speaks to the heart of village life. The garden provides not just food, but connection, community, continuity. A narrow path leads to the village's smallest cemetery, where generations of Geethorn families rest. The headstones are simple, many so old their inscriptions have worn smooth. Trees provide shade, their roots carefully navigating around the graves. It's not a sad place, but peaceful, a reminder that life here has always moved in natural cycles. Even here, water is present. A small canal runs along one edge, connecting the resting place to the flowing life of the village. You find an artist's studio in a converted boathouse, the large doors open to the evening air. Canvases lean against the walls, capturing Geethorn in every season, every light. The artist isn't here now, but their work remains. A visual diary of village life. One painting shows the canals frozen. Another captures the explosion of spring flowers. Yet another depicts the very spot where you're standing, transformed by the artist's vision into something both familiar and magical. A small dock extends into a wider part of the canal, equipped with benches and flower boxes. This is where elderly residents gather in good weather, sharing stories, watching the boats pass, maintaining the oral history of the village. Their conversations flow like the water, meandering through memories, punctuated by comfortable silences. Even empty, the space holds their presence, their years of gathered wisdom. Tucked behind a row of houses, you discover a communal garden where residents without their own land can grow vegetables and flowers. Each plot reflects its gardener's personality, one wild and abundant, another geometric and ordered. Tools are shared, left trustingly in a common shed. Water barrels collect rain for dry spells. It's a microcosm of the village itself, individual yet interconnected. A forgotten canal branch ends in a quiet pool where moorhens have built their nest. The water here is still, creating perfect reflections of the surrounding trees. Fallen leaves float on the surface, creating natural mandalas that shift with each breath of wind. This is where you might come to think, to process, to simply be. The village offers these spaces generously, understanding that solitude and community are not opposites, but partners. As darkness deepens, these hidden corners become even more mysterious. Shadows pool in secret gardens. Night-blooming flowers release their perfume. Nocturnal creatures emerge to claim their territory. But there's no fear here, only a deepening of the peace, a sense that the village is settling into its nighttime rhythm, inviting you to do the same. Every old village holds stories in its stones and waters, and Geethorn is rich with gentle tales that have been told and retold through generations. These stories, like the canals themselves, wind through the village consciousness, connecting past to present, reality to dream. The old-timers tell of the village's founding, when those medieval monks first arrived in this marshy wilderness. Legend says they were guided here by a vision of a peaceful sanctuary, a place where prayer and nature would intertwine. They found the land difficult, almost impossible to cultivate, but in their struggle to dig peat, they inadvertently created the very waterways that would one day make Giethorn magical. Sometimes, what seems like hardship is actually transformation in disguise. There's a story about a young woman from centuries past who lived on one of the small islands. Every evening, she would light a candle in her window to guide her beloved's boat home through the dark canals. One winter night, he never returned, lost in a sudden storm on the larger waters beyond the village. But she continued to light the candle every night for the rest of her long life. They say on very still evenings, you can still see a soft light flickering where her house once stood, though the building itself is long gone. It's probably just the reflection of stars on the water, but the story reminds us of the power of faithful love. The bridges have their own tales. One particular bridge, painted white and decorated with carved hearts, is known as the Wishing Bridge. Local tradition says that if you close your eyes while crossing and make a wish for someone else's happiness, it will come true. Generations of children have tested this magic, and enough wishes have seemingly been granted that the tradition continues. The bridge receives a fresh coat of paint every spring, a community effort that maintains both the structure and the story. An old fisherman who lived here in the last century became famous for his ability to speak, to fish. He would sit in his boat, whistling soft melodies, and the fish would gather, not to be caught, he claimed, but to listen. He never took more than he needed, always returning the smallest and the largest to the water. His neighbors thought him eccentric until the year of the Great Drought, when water levels dropped dangerously low. He spent days moving fish from drying pools to deeper water, saving thousands. The fish, some say, were returning his years of kindness. There's a house near the village center with an unusually large garden where an elderly woman once grew the most magnificent roses in all of Giethorn. She never sold them, instead leaving bouquets on neighbors' doorsteps in the early morning, always anonymously. Everyone knew it was her, but they respected the secret, understanding that the mystery was part of the gift. After she passed, the village maintained her garden collectively. The roses still bloom magnificently, and occasionally, mysteriously, bouquets still appear on doorsteps, though no one admits to leaving them. The canal itself holds stories. During particularly cold winters, when the ice grows thick, old-timers speak of hearing music from beneath. Not frightening, but beautiful, like an orchestra of water and ice playing together. Scientists might explain it as the sound of ice expanding and contracting, but the villagers prefer their explanation. It's the canal singing itself to sleep for the winter, promising to wake again in spring. Children here grow up with the tale of the Swan King, a magnificent bird who is said to protect the village, according to the story. As long as swans nest in Giethorn, the village will remain peaceful and prosperous. Every spring, everyone watches anxiously for the swans' return. They always come, building their nests in the same quiet corners, raising their cygnets under the village's watchful, protective eyes. there's a small island where nothing will grow except grass, though the soil is rich and neighbors' gardens flourish. The story says a hermit once lived there, a man so peaceful that even plants would quiet their growth so as not to disturb his meditation. Whether true or not, the island remains a place of particular calm, where people come to sit when they need to find their own inner quiet. The oldest residents remember stories their grandparents told, reaching back through chains of memory to the village's earliest days. Tales of winters so cold that wolves crossed the frozen waters from Germany, of summers so perfect that the entire village would sleep outdoors under the stars, of the time when peat was currency, more valuable than gold. These stories aren't written down but passed along in quiet conversations, over coffee during long boat rides. Even recent history becomes legend here. The story of how the village resisted modernization, refusing to allow cars despite pressure. How they fought to preserve their silence, understanding that it was their greatest treasure. How tourism, which could have destroyed their way of life, was carefully managed to enhance rather than overwhelm. These modern legends teach the same lessons as the old ones: patience, community, respect for the past, hope for the future. As you walk through the village in this deepening twilight, you become part of these stories. Perhaps someone watching from a window will remember the peaceful stranger who walked the canals one evening. Perhaps your footsteps on these ancient paths add another layer to the palimpsest of village memory. Every visitor becomes part of Geethorn's story, just as Geethorn becomes part of theirs. The evening has deepened considerably now, and Geethorn begins its gentle transition into night. This is when the village reveals its most restful character, when even the whisper boats have fallen silent, and only the most essential sounds remain. Let's continue our journey toward the quietest corners, where rest seems not just possible, but inevitable. You find yourself approaching one of the village's most tranquil areas, where the canals widen into small lakes. Here, the houses stand further apart, each one embraced by larger gardens that slope gently toward the water. The paths become softer, covered with a carpet of pine needles from the evergreen trees that grow more numerous in this section. Your footsteps are completely muffled now, as if the earth itself is encouraging quiet. A small peninsula extends into the water, created years ago when a canal was widened. Someone has placed several benches here, each facing a different direction. One looks back toward the village center, where lights now twinkle like earthbound stars. Another faces the open countryside, where darkness is gathering over the flat fields. The third faces west, toward the last faint glow of sunset. You could sit on any of these benches and feel perfectly held by the landscape. The water here moves so slowly it seems completely still. Only the occasional ripple from a swimming duck or the gentle touch of wind reveals that it's water at all and not some dark mirror reflecting the deepening sky. The surface holds the last light of day, releasing it slowly, reluctantly, like a cherished memory fading into dream. Notice how your breathing has naturally slowed during our walk. The rhythm of Geethorn has this effect. It's impossible to hurry here, and after a while you stop wanting to. Each breath draws in the cool evening air, tinged with the scent of water, growing things and that particular freshness that comes with the approaching night. You pass a house where someone is playing piano. The notes drift through an open window, a slow melody that seems improvised, meandering like the canals themselves. There's no urgency in the music, no need to reach a particular destination. It simply flows note to note, creating a soundtrack for the evening's descent into rest. The gardens here have been designed for evening enjoyment. White flowers that seemed modest during the day now glow in the twilight. Night-blooming jasmine releases its perfume. The pale bark of birch trees becomes luminous. Everything harsh or bright has been softened, muted, transformed into something gentle enough for tired eyes. A family of swans has settled for the night in a quiet inlet. They've tucked their heads beneath their wings, floating like white clouds on the dark water. Their chosen spot is protected from wind, warmed by the last heat radiating from a stone wall. They know, with the wisdom of generations, exactly where to find the most restful place. You discover a small meditation garden created by one of the residents. Smooth stones create a winding path through carefully raked gravel. A small fountain bubbles quietly, its sound just enough to mask any distant noise without becoming intrusive itself. Cushions have been left on a covered platform, an invitation to sit, to breathe, to let go of the day's accumulated thoughts. The temperature has dropped to that perfect point where the air feels like silk against your skin, neither warm nor cold, just present, just right. You might imagine wrapping yourself in a soft blanket, though the air itself feels like covering enough. This is the blessing of summer evenings in the north, this long, gentle transition from day to night. Walking becomes increasingly dreamlike. The paths seem to know where to lead you, requiring no decisions, no thoughts about direction. Your feet find their own rhythm, slow and steady, like a walking meditation. The village seems to be breathing around you, a slow, deep respiration that invites you to match its pace. You come upon a houseboat moored in a particularly quiet spot. Its windows glow with warm lamplight, and you can see someone inside, reading in a comfortable chair. The gentle rock of the boat on the water would make anyone drowsy. This is accommodation some visitors choose, falling asleep to the lullaby of water against the hull, waking to the sound of ducks paddling past. The sounds of the village settling for the night create their own music. Doors closing softly, the last conversations ending with quiet goodnights, a dog's final bark before curling up for sleep. These sounds don't disturb the peace, but enhance it. Reminders that all around you, others are also preparing for rest. A mist begins to rise from the water, very gentle, very soft. It doesn't obscure the view, but softens it, like looking through gauze. The lights of houses become halos. The edges of things blur. The boundary between water and land, between waking and sleeping, becomes increasingly indefinite. You realize you've been walking for what feels like hours, though time has become elastic, meaningless. The village has shared its stories, its beauty, its peace. Now it offers its greatest gift, the invitation to rest, to let go, to drift like those boats at their moorings, safely tethered but free to move with the gentle rhythm of the water. And now, dear traveler, our journey through Giethorn begins to draw to its natural close, like the day settling into evening, like the canals flowing inevitably toward larger waters. Our exploration transforms into something quieter, something deeper. You've walked these ancient paths, crossed these timeless bridges, absorbed the profound peace that saturates every corner of this remarkable village. You find yourself back near the heart of Giethorn, But everything looks different now in the full embrace of night. The lights from windows create golden rectangles reflected in the canal water, doubled, tripled, creating a constellation below to match the stars beginning to appear above. The village has become a dream of itself, all harsh edges softened, all colors muted to gentle shadows and warm glows. The whisper boats rest at their moorings now, tied with careful knots that have held through countless nights. They rock ever so slightly, a motion so gentle it's almost imperceptible, like the breathing of sleeping creatures. The wood creaks occasionally, a comfortable sound, the sound of things settling into place, finding their perfect point of rest. You can feel how the village has worked its quiet magic on you. The urgency you might have carried has dissolved like morning mist. The concerns of the wider world seem very far away, unable to penetrate the bubble of tranquility that Geethorn creates. Here, in this moment, there is only peace, only the gentle lapping of water, only the soft whisper of wind through the reeds. The air has cooled to the perfect sleeping temperature, that delicious coolness that makes you want to pull covers up to your chin, to sink deeper into comfort. The scent of night-blooming flowers drifts on the barely moving air. Jasmine, evening primrose, the green smell of water and growing things. These scents seem designed by nature to encourage rest, to signal to every sense that it's time to let go. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell tolls the hour. The sound carries across the water, mellowed by distance, arriving as a gentle reminder rather than an announcement. The bells have been marking time here for centuries, providing rhythm to village life, but never harsh, never demanding, just offering structure to those who want it, ignorable by those who don't. The stars are fully visible now in the clear Dutch sky. Without the light pollution of cities, they shine with an intensity that surprises. The Milky Way creates a river of light above to match the waterways below. You might trace constellations, or simply let your eyes rest on the vast, peaceful darkness, punctuated by these ancient lights. Stars that have watched over Geethorn since before it had a name, that will continue watching long after. Your imaginary walk has brought you to a perfect resting spot. Perhaps that bench beneath the willow. Perhaps a soft patch of grass by the water's edge. Perhaps you're simply standing still, feeling the solid earth beneath your feet, the reliable, patient earth that supports this entire magical village. You can stay here as long as you like. There's no schedule to keep, no one waiting, nothing required except to be present in this moment of perfect peace. The sounds of night have taken over completely now. An owl calls from somewhere across the water, its voice both mysterious and comforting. Small creatures rustle in the gardens, going about their nocturnal business. The water continues its eternal conversation with the canal walls, a liquid whisper that has continued uninterrupted for centuries. These sounds weave together into nature's own lullaby. Feel how your body wants to rest now, how your eyelids have grown heavy, how your breathing has deepened and slowed. Geethorn has given you its gift, the gift of true peace. The gift of stepping outside time's relentless forward march. The gift of simply being rather than doing. This is what the village offers to all who come here with open hearts. The houses around you are settling into sleep. Lights go out one by one, like eyes closing. Soon, only the street lamps will remain, and even these are designed to be gentle, to provide just enough light for safety without disturbing the essential darkness that allows for true rest. The village is tucking itself in, pulling up its covers of mist and shadow. You can imagine yourself in one of these houses, in a bed that looks out over the canal. The window is cracked open just enough to let in the night air and the sound of water. The bed is impossibly comfortable, with sheets that smell of wind and sunshine from drying on the line. The pillow cradles your head perfectly. You're safe here, held by the village, watched over by centuries of peaceful nights, just like this one. Or perhaps you prefer to imagine yourself on that houseboat, rocked gently by the water's motion. The boat's gentle movement is like being held in enormous, patient arms, rocked like a child, soothed by the most ancient rhythm, the rhythm of water that connects us to our earliest memories, to the time before birth when we floated in perfect safety. Let all the images from our journey flow through your mind now, without trying to hold on to any of them. The thatched roofs golden in the sunset, the bridges reflected in still water, the gardens bursting with color, the swans gliding silently past. Let them flow like the canals themselves, one image becoming another, all of them beautiful, all of them peaceful, all of them inviting you toward rest. Keithorn will be here tomorrow, and the day after, and for centuries to come. There's no need to hold on, no need to remember every detail. The village has imprinted itself on some quiet corner of your mind, and you can return here whenever you need peace, whenever the world becomes too loud, too fast, too demanding. Just close your eyes and remember the whisper boats, the gentle bridges, the eternal patient water. Sleep is approaching now like fog rolling in from the wetlands, soft, enveloping, inevitable. There's no need to resist. Keithorn has prepared you perfectly for this transition. You're safe, you're peaceful, you're exactly where you need to be. The village holds you in its quiet embrace. The water sings its ancient lullaby. The stars keep their eternal watch. Rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. Let the peace of Keithorn carry you into dreams where you might find yourself gliding in a whisper boat through morning mist, or walking endless garden paths where every flower blooms just for you, or simply floating on the gentle current of sleep, safe, peaceful, home in the quiet heart of the Venice of the North. Good night, peaceful wanderer. May your dreams be as gentle as Keithorn's canals, as beautiful as its gardens, as deep and restorative as its centuries of accumulated peace. Rest now. Rest.